All right. Well, Cornell, thank you for sitting down with me. My name is Nick. We've met briefly, of course, on campus as I'm a master's student at the University of Texas at Austin, where you are faculty. And I study basin analysis, tectonics broadly, looking for a career in oil and gas. That's sort of the spiel about myself. But Cornell, congratulations on winning the Bill Dickinson Award for Excellence in Sedimentary Geology in mid-career. You want to take 5 minutes and just summarize a little bit about your path to the geosciences and to how you got to where you are?
Yes, thank you, Nick, for having me here and asking me questions. Uh, I'm from Romania, so I was an outdoor enthusiast. I suspect that growing up, going to mountains, seaside, long rivers, and that's what when I was finishing the high school, I was thinking what to do next, like everyone, and then was between biology and geology in a way. So even I decided on geology, but at the beginning I was with the paleontology group, doing projects, digging dinosaurs and things like that. And then later, after 2 years or so, I switched on sedimentology, going in Danube Delta and looking at sediments around there as a student. And then I continue to do sedimentology with a research institute there in Romania. And then I came to UT, University of Texas at Dallas for master's and PhD, and moved at UT at Austin as a postdoc. And since then I stay as a scientist.
Wow, that's awesome. So you from an early age had a good go at knowing you wanted to be a geoscientist then?
Not quite. I knew I wanted to be outside and travel. And if you think
Okay.
about geology, the rocks are not coming to you exactly. You have to go to see the
No.
rocks. And so
Yeah,
that was, I
definitely.
discovered it along the way, but it was something with just, I knew I wanted to be outdoor or travel.
That's very cool. And it's pretty awesome. I don't know what the academic scene is like in Romania, but the transition there could not have been super easy, I'm sure. But it seems you've made quite the name for yourself here in the US.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's not easy to change countries, for sure, yeah. And then I remember my advisor after 1, 2, 3 semesters asked me, so how I'm doing if I learned something, and I say, yes, I learned English. So that was my kind of half joke there. I mean, he was asking about my geological learnings, but yeah, it's difficult to move countries, but it was an advantage being international. So it was easy to me to, I mean, go back to Europe or visit other countries. I was already unrooted in a way.
Yeah, yeah. That's very fair. Is there anything in your career that you're like most proud of? Any specific step or milestone? It might be this award even.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the award that obviously, yeah, uh, made waves, and I was surprised a bit because I'm just doing my work like everyone else. So I don't think I did something specifically outstanding, at least not yet. Maybe the award is calling for more work to be done and discover new things. I mean, what
Yeah.
I'm proud of doing around here is working with students, because that's what the key thing is. I mean, if I feel that I did something good, is that students, it happened to me a few times, that students come after a few years back and say, oh, you was right about this and that, and this and that happen to be sometimes just, philosophical geology on the outcrop, or sometimes just the way to look at the data or do the work. So that's something that I found it quite powerful, because you feel that you had a small contribution for a person that eventually will propagate further.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can say with the few students of yours that I have interacted with, they're always excellent people. And even here, this is kind of a sidetrack, but I'm currently interning with ExxonMobil, and I'm on a team where that has one of your students, and so they make excellent contributions to the team.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know how to say. I mean, I was lucky to have good students. I mean, UT, it's attracting a lot of good students, but
Hmm.
I hope, I mean, going with students in the field or working on different projects, I mean, it's hardship. If it's not anything hard, then you don't discover anything. So there are many times that we got stuck in discussion or what to do next, and some of my ideas, I mean, might be new for others, and then they're not easily taken, not all the ideas. And so that's why
Yeah,
I feel well when after a few years, I got some feedback that was the right direction and we took it at one point into the education or projects. So
yeah.
that's one
Well,
of the strongest accomplishment, I'll say. Yeah.
that's awesome. Speaking on feedback, are there any like specific challenges or setbacks that you've experienced in your career that have turned out to be very valuable and meaningful experiences?
Well, mm, I can say about big pushback or setbacks. It's like all of us can say that. I mean, when you try to publish something, an article or submit a proposal, there are pushbacks all the time from the
Oh yeah,
reviewers, comments, and things that, I mean, everyone will feel a bit, uh, how to say that, disappointed or lost for 1 or 2 days, but then recover. And then I discovered that most of the comments are actually positive and I mean supportive and with a good direction. So and sometimes there are setbacks. For example, I do a lot of field work, and field work is difficult and with a lot of unknown. When you go try to look at outcrops that there's someone's property, you don't know
yeah,
if they will let you to look at it or not. And it happened in many occasions. And uh, some people say no, and then I insist. I keep talking with the owners or try to go another day and
give them that
convince
Romanian
them.
charm.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Romanian charm, but it happened in Argentina, in ES, in yeah, sometimes in Romania or other places. And I think the idea is to keep talking with people, explaining what we do,
Yeah,
and yeah, eventually we'll become friends, so we can do our work. Yeah.
yeah, with enough convincing. Is there anything, if you could go back in time, that you would maybe do differently in your career? It's tough to look back and make those kinds of thoughts, but um, sometimes they can
Well,
be interesting.
no, maybe, I mean, linked to the science or the geology will be small adjustments, probably each project, knowing what you're getting at, or you make it more efficient. But one thing that, at least for me, it's coming back to haunt me is taking notes or organizing your own notes and data. I mean, now I got a lot of data and notes, and sometimes I know I have them, but I give up looking for it because it's um, difficult to find where notes or field notebooks or other observations are. And it happened to me also to ask somebody else over the internet about some data, and the answer I got was so far like 10 years back that I don't know how to get the data. And
Yeah.
it happened to me also to have similar answer for somebody else looking for my data, like original data.
Hmm. Yeah, it's hard. I'm going to take a note from that and try and do a better job because I know in my limited experience of taking notes and collecting data, I could do a better job of that. That yeah.
Yeah, that will become valuable. I mean, at the point of data collecting, notice taking, or you might think you do a paper and that's the end of a story, but it's not. Most of the time you have to go back to it, and I found that painful sometimes. Look for the old data.
Well, I'd like to hear a little bit about your like daily schedule and work-life balance as a faculty member at UT. So could you give us a little insight as to how you manage your time, maintain a work-life balance, if that exists?
Yeah, I don't have a very good balance exactly. I can't say I'm separating well the work with home, for example. I take my homework home and I keep working on it. And obviously that's not very good, but yeah, I feel I can work wherever I am. And nowadays with the phones and laptops, you're connected all the time, so it's difficult for me to not work in a way. So I don't think I have good advice for that.
How have you seen your balance change through time? Like maybe pre-tenure, post-tenure, or have you seen changes maybe in how technology has changed that?
Well, I don't have a tenure, so I'm unbalanced all the time because of that. I'm
Gotcha.
pre-tenure all the time, but it's what can I mean, there are times in there, for example, during the semester times, if I'm teaching, for example, it's a bit more controlled by the lecturing. If it's a semester without teaching, then it's more intense work actually, because you do your own, or I do my own program, which is not linked to weekly lecturing, and then it's more intense at times. But and all the time it's a lot of reviewing papers, reviewing students' work, and then so it's unequal and kind of irregular demands.
Yeah. Well, what are the skills that you found have been so like essential to the work that you do, whether if that's mentoring students or teaching a class? Is there anything in particular?
I mean, to me, is that, I mean, patience. You have to have patience. I mean, working with students, everyone is different, as you know. I mean, just persons in general. So you have to have patience, and then really see everyone's point of view. I mean, sometimes the most outrageous questions or ideas take to some uncharted areas or problems. Sometimes I throw ideas or strange observations just to be, a bit outrageous about things. But and so I don't dismiss any strange ideas. Maybe at the beginning, just to make a steer. But it's good to pay attention and have patience with any observation. And then obviously to be persistent. I mean, if you don't persist with some data or ideas you have, then you might not discover new things, and you might stop questioning too early for any project you do.
Yeah, that's very insightful. I feel like that can go with, not even just work, but I mean, everywhere in life, more patience is almost necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I mean, I mean, it's difficult to quite be patient all the time, but I notice that sometimes I don't, I mean, I try to be patient with doing it. And then the other thing is that I think I notice it's good for me, or I think it's important, is just to pay attention of the, like, for quantitative data or dimensions of geological things, for example. So I'm bothered if I see a photo of an outcrop without a scale on it, for example, because we know, I mean, things can be similar and then they have different meanings. So I learn to pay attention to these things, and more than before, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? What was the question about? You asked about students or classes?
That was I guess just like, are there any, I guess you could relate it to teaching. Patience is still relevant to teaching as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, teaching, it depends if it's undergraduate or graduates. For undergraduates, you have to attract them. I mean, especially I'm teaching a class for non-geologists, for engineers.
Mm.
So you have to keep them into the relevance of geology for them, for their career with whatever they prepare for, and also to keep it interested. I mean, interesting in terms of geology or
Yeah.
connect with their things. For
Well,
graduate students, it's different,
make it
obviously.
relevant for them.
Yeah, make it relevant. For graduate students, it's obviously different that you have to push them into what is new in geology or geosciences.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to hear something about how you viewed success and fulfillment in your own life, in your career. Have you always found that the work you've done is fulfilling, if it's successful or even if it's not successful?
Um, yeah, I mean, again, to feel fulfilled is just if you realize you can make a small contribution or a small understanding on something, but that don't necessarily mean success for everyone else or for others. So if I sometimes, for example, if I have an idea or a hypothesis, work on it, and if I see that it makes sense or I can prove something small, then I feel fulfilled. I mean, the time was not lost or for nothing. But
Yeah.
and yeah, that can be considered success as well. But I'm not sure if everyone will see that as a success, beside me or whoever is involved into that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Are
And
the
in terms of
days? Oh,
success, I mean, maybe a SEPM award is a success.
yeah.
Is
There
it
you go.
for the outside? I mean, to say that for outside community maybe, but
Yeah. You're recognized, at least at the very least, even if you don't recognize yourself, right?
well, again, I didn't make any big contribution to be awarded for.
Yeah. Are there days that you find are hard to go to work or to do research, or do you always enjoy what you do?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, of course, not only I easy to go to work, but I mean, I'm working from wherever I am on some ideas, and I'm keep thinking how to improve or do the right hypothesis to build out. So I don't find working geosciences as a as a difficult job at all.
Yeah.
And I've been in the field with the field camp um, recently, and then a student was asking something along the same line, like if it's difficult for me to be in the field or if I find hard to go up and down on the outcrop or something, and I say no, and she was surprised a bit, like, and then she kind of corrected herself to say, "Oh, that means you like what you do." And I was like, "Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, I'm going on to the outcrop or camping or
The
looking at
best
rocks
part of
is
it.
exactly. It's part of the.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't find that difficult at all. No.
Yeah. What about like let's say you have a hypothesis or some idea that you're working on. Has it ever like driven you not to madness? You know what I mean? Like to the point where you just need to step away, and what do you do in that situation?
Yeah. mm, well, the closest idea is now is the one you're working on. I mean, there might be maybe in the past there were some, but right now we're thinking about this double cliniform in deltas, and it's tricky because this seems to be everywhere in the modern environment, and then we don't have good examples in the ancient deposits, like in the rock record, and it's a problem why that is the case. And I think I saw them even in the ancient rocks. And for example, all the parasequences are not like proper deltas, but they're a subaqueous part of a delta cliniform. So we can talk about them as parasequences. So
yeah,
I think we're right, but I don't know how to prove that very well. I mean, it's we're collecting data, but I don't think it's we have the ultimate supportive data there. And I say we because it's a student working on it and some other collaborators on it. So I'm keep trying to explain again and again and different people to see if I can convince myself more or bring new angles to the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not quite to madness exactly.
Not quite to madness. That's good. That's good. Maybe that's too extreme of an example, but that's good to hear. And I'm sure if you keep thinking about it, you'll come to something, right?
Yes, and then I discovered that sometimes if it's an idea, if you keep thinking about it, I mean, even if you let it, if you let it settle for a while, it's still coming back to you if it's the right idea. So
yeah,
it will come back to you whenever you think less or with unexpected in an unexpected circumstances. So a good idea will stick.
yeah. Well, that actually, okay, this is not a question on the list, but I just have one for you. Just other than that, is there any place that you find you come up with your ideas, like any kind of situation? Like I've talked to some people and they say that like they go on a run and that's when they have the most clarity on something they've been thinking on. Is that the same for you, or do you have another type of thing?
Oh, sometimes when it's linked with the sleep, but I'm not sure if sometimes when I go to sleep, sometimes when I wake up, it's something hanging around there, and then it's the idea that turning the light on.
Yeah.
It happened a few times, yes, and sometimes even, I mean, I'm not sure during the night, but I was thinking once to have something just in the middle of night if you wake up to write something or not, but
Yeah.
it's not happening to that because usually I don't move during the night. It's at the beginning, I think, or sometimes when I wake up. It's probably something lingering from the sleep that is still coming out.
Yeah. You're dreaming about double cliniforms.
For example, or something, but it happened in relation with sleep, yeah, a few times. Some
That's
ideas
very cool.
came like that.
Yeah, it's a good place to have ideas. Just got to have a notepad by your bed, right?
Yeah, I think I tried that once. It didn't quite work. I mean, again, because usually when I sleep, I don't. It's just at the beginning or at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That happened, but and
Well,
not
cool.
very often.
Yeah. Hey, it only takes like one big idea, right? To get a Bill Dickinson award.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's surprised when you see the light and you wonder how others cannot see it that way. That's the thing. So, for example, when you
Yeah.
like put this double cliniforms now, I mean, seems I know it's a question. I mean, how others couldn't see it before, or what was missing from others to see it. But I'm not sure. When an idea is about right, then it's easy to explain to others also. So
Yeah.
like anything else, if it makes sense for you, should make sense for most others.
Well, I'd like to transition and talk a little bit about the field of the geosciences and the
Mm.
society of scientists who work in it, and to start, just hear your opinion of how the geosciences have changed throughout the years, from your early career in Romania to now. How have you seen research evolve and the whole field change?
Yeah, I mean, I think geosciences is, I'm not a geos, I mean, I'm a sedimentologist, stratigrapher. I'm not sure if I can talk for the entire geosciences field, but from my angle, or from my way of doing things, um, I noticed, I mean, compare with some years back, I mean, in Romania, it's the same trend like here. Um, is that it's less and less work on like field work, for example, like what I do. Like people, I mean, just scientists in general, I think they do less field work or field data collection, which maybe is normal because we have more lab work, for example, to do more numerical models. Computers are coming. The geoscience is quite powerful. So then if it's a something to observe, or a trend, is that we're less and less, I mean, percentage-wise, do field work or collect data in the field, compared with more lab work or remote sensing work, or I don't know, geophysical interpretations.
Yeah. Do you think it'll continue in that trend, or do you think maybe we'll pitch the curve back towards maybe more field work? Or
Well, I hope at least will stay as it is now, but I think the trend will continue because
yeah,
it's all of this discussion about AI, and then the computers coming over, uh, taking more and more of the work. So, but however we do that, I don't think we can get rid of going out in the field and collecting data. I mean, some data can be collected by robots, I suspect, or some sort of um, machinery, but still we will have to go out in the field. And that's because, I mean, geology, understanding it, even if you work on a computer, for example, like probably you do in your with your internship company. I mean, it's a computer
yeah,
seismic data and things that come to your computer. If you don't have a good feeling of dimensions from the outcrop from outside, just maybe drive along a basin and realize, whoa, this is what it means, 400 or 500 kilometers
yeah,
across. On the computer, you can shrink that and don't realize the dimensions.
yeah,
And so we should train still geoscientists with outdoor in mind, even if their future work will be mostly maybe on a computer or remote, because there are some skills they can. I mean, I saw a geologist or people from industry, and then they were somehow lost about the dimensions of things.
oh yeah,
I'm thinking in terms of deltas or rivers, because they just saw seismic data and they didn't realize river channels cannot be a few kilometers across, for example. That would be an
yeah,
outstanding large channel. Um,
yeah.
anyway, I'm talking too much here about the field work and things, but
No, that's fine. That's fine.
yeah.
That's good insight. Uh, what impact have the geosciences and geoscience research, or sedimentology and stratigraphy,
Mhm.
made to ensure like human sustainability, or how does that research impact our future, I guess, on the planet?
Yeah, it's we as a geologist, we know that without the geology, humans will have a tough time on Earth
Yeah,
here, because it's like, I know um, because we're so successful in getting hydrocarbons out of the ground, and we have the tendency now to suffocate ourselves, being too good at it. We're so successful that we put too much carbon out. But without the resources which geologists are putting out, then we can't live the way we're living. the whole society was built on resources which were discovered or made available by geologists, starting with the coal, the revolution, 1800s, and now whatever we'll do in the future, resources that we'll need for society will still come from Earth, so we'll need geoscientists.
Amen. I hope so. I need a career, so.
Oh yeah, you for sure. So I think the trend is, I think the U.S. Labor Department, I'm not sure if they have a geoscience label, but geo-related jobs, I think they are in a higher demand. That's the forecast is there will be a higher demand.
That's good to know.
Yeah, but the problem is that will be fragmented in a way. So it might not be just oil and gas or hydrocarbon companies, might be different type of companies. I don't know. Or geotechnical.
Yeah. Do you think research for like sedimentology and stratigraphy will decrease because of a push away from hydrocarbons? Because oftentimes that research is funded by the oil companies, or do you think that will be resilient against that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's most of the push actually and support and development in geosciences was because of the hydrocarbon. I mean, because of the, let's say, oil and gas industry, but it's not themselves, it's we as a society. We put them in charge to discover what we needed, like energy. You say, well, we to run the country, we need energy. And then the companies, which now we see them not so good, some people are against, but then the companies just collected the brightest mind to say, okay, we need energy for the country or for the world, and then we are quite successful. So by doing that, obviously geology, geophysics was all behind that, and that contributed to an outstanding improvement in our knowledge of the Earth, I mean, geosciences. I mean, without all of that demand and desire to discover hydrocarbons, and we wouldn't look so close to the Earth. So in the future, you say, well, what will happen in the future? I think in the future, this industry might still be there and might morph into other type of resources, which they already do. They call not hydrocarbon, not oil and gas, but energy companies. So we'll still need the resources to run the societies the way we run, or even better. We might be more energy hungry or resources hungry.
No, definitely. Do you think that geoscientists do a good job of reaching out to non-geoscientists and have a good like interaction with society outside of the geoscience community, or do you think we do a bad job? What can we do better?
I don't think we do a good job. No.
I agree.
Yeah, it's enough to see. I mean, we don't. I mean, I'm not sure why, but in general, I think geologists or geoscientists, I mean, they're kind of shy to make waves within society, I think. I mean, but there are some exceptions all the time. But so we're all the time not doing a good job to explain others what geology is about or geosciences. And most people kind of lump us together with other fields, that usually kind of go ahead of us, like geography or just natural sciences. That would be some sort of biologist, or so we don't have a good standout of the sciences. But despite geology, it's by itself, as we know. I mean, you can't. It's not. I mean, we rely on physics and chemistry and math, obviously, and other hard sciences, but it's to science in itself. And I think the problem is coming from schools, from educations. I mean, obviously, you know, geo sciences in all the way through high school, and I think sometimes is hidden into natural sciences classes, something like that. I know that from my kids when they're growing, I think they do have some part of plate tectonics and other things in the curriculum, but is not separated as geosciences.
Yeah,
So
I can attest to that. I had no geoscience experience at all in high school or middle school or anything really. So
yes, so you can discover what it is about, and then of course, and yeah, grown-ups also, they don't know what it's very much.
That's true.
I mean, it's coming, and when you explain what it's about, yeah, they don't. Usually, we're not good at it because we go into so much details of what we do, then they kind of lost the track of, okay, so what exactly is your field about?
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't do a good job. Maybe paleontologists do, because then they're, you know, dinosaurs are more into the
Pop culture
views. Yeah, I mean movies and things.
Jurassic Park and all that.
Yes, but then I think proper geology, it's difficult to, or even sedimentology, stratigraphy, that's even more kind of a dry field to explain others.
Yeah, that brings me to a side question. Let's say you're sitting at the dinner table with some new friends or something like that, and someone asks you what you do, or they're curious about what geology is. Is there like a metaphor that you have, or is there a simple way you go about explaining what we do as geologists?
Yeah, well, the easiest way, and then I tell to someone that I don't know, and then they just ask me what to do. I say I look at rocks, and then everyone understands that rocks, you know. And I know that from even when we're going, I'm not good at Spanish, but when I was going to Argentina, I knew like, hey, rocas and stuff like that. So I was explaining my few words, what we're doing. So, and then if someone want to get into more detail, I say, okay, I look at like deltas, like river deltas and things like that.
Yeah.
And if someone, and then they know they can relate to that Mississippi River, Mississippi Delta. And if they insist, I say, okay, I look at Cretaceous rivers and deltas. And then
you lose them. Yeah.
No, they still, some of them, they still pay attention. I say, okay, look, it's like, you know, they know about the continents moving. And I say, well, I look at how the Mississippi River and deltas were similar to Mississippi, what they were doing in the Cretaceous time. And I tell them, because this hold resources that we have to understand. So, but so it's, I kind of take it in steps, you know, to see their interest.
Yeah. What are some key transferable skills that you've been able to develop over your career? And those can apply to other places in geology or even transferring home to your personal life. And what do you think are the most pivotal for students to learn early on in their lives, their careers?
Well, I'm not sure if I can use it home or anything, but the geology is, you have to have a good understanding of this, like a spatial and like a 3D visualization of things, because we relate to, let's say, subsurface or things that they are usually 3D, so you have to have a good spatial awareness of things, you know. And then it's even more complicated, and you have to have a temporal image of these things because everything is moving. So you have to understand things in 3D that they're moving, and the time is the most difficult concept and idea, because we have to deal with short times, you know, like phenomena, like an earthquake, for example, or a hurricane take a while, take a few days, but an earthquake or things that happen, or a tsunami, for example, that happen pretty fast, but with a high energy. And then we have to have a good understanding of the long time. and that's more difficult. How do you explain someone about things happening thousands of years or hundred thousands of years or million of years? It's difficult to explain to someone. I mean, the words and the idea is like, yes, oh, a million year, but it's just kind of passing by without realizing. I mean, we're talking of things happening in a million of years, so we have to understand a million years happenings. It's not. It's so out of our our way of doing things that it's difficult to really have a good feeling of what that means.
No, definitely.
So that's, I think, I mean, for students, if they'll want to get good at it, and I mean, at geology or geosciences, I think the spatial and the 3D understanding of everything around them will be of very good, will be very good for their career. And then obviously nowadays you have to talk with the computers, so you have to know programming. And I learned that in a graduate school, and I would like to learn more languages to be able to talk with the computer.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that might have been your answer to the next question, which is
the word will be digital. Yes, sorry.
No, go ahead. It's okay. I was just gonna say that might have been the answer to the next question, which is, what do you think is the biggest advice you can give to some students and early career members that are trying to build their skill sets?
Oh, I mean, what I try to do here to have patience, because some things are not coming right away, and then especially science in general, I think it looks a bit boring, at least at the beginning, when you have to collect the data and nothing exciting coming. You have to kind of repeat some analysis or descriptions, but then if you pay attention to the details, eventually better things will come out. And the thing is just a question all the time. I mean, I'm not to believe the model. All the models are just that model of things. So you have to, as a student, you have to question and try to shake the ground and try to color per se the figures the other way to see if it makes sense or not. I mean, to try to change things. That's the thing. And again, you can do that with patience, and then computer languages, and pay attention to spatial and temporal scales. I mean, this is for geosciences. These are the most important points you can think about.
Yeah.
Then if you're getting good at all this, you're on a very good path, I would say.
Yeah. Well, that's great to hear. My my last question for you now, all right? It's very simple. What's next for you? Where do you see yourself going in the I guess the latter half of your career, right? You got the mid-career award.
For me,
might be scary to think about.
Maybe next award. If it's just a middle career, I mean, the next award. Yeah, I mean, what I'm doing it, I mean, well, more hypotheses, more projects. So lately I got involved into microplastic. Everyone's talking about this. These are still sediments. So I'm trying to understand how microplastics is moving around, and the way we produce and what we do with this man-made sediments now. And that's interesting because that's linked with some people are talking about the Anthropocene, for example, like, the new epoch that humans are kind of modifying the geological record and things like that. And so, I mean, besides sedimentology and stratigraphy, I'm still looking at deltas, modern deltas and Cretaceous deltas, but there are new ways to look at sediments with this microplastic as tracers, for example. And yeah, that's what I will do, but I mean, helped with by students. Again, I mean, students are like you are the engine of discoveries. I wouldn't be able to do many things without students.
Yeah.
Because you, I mean, you as a student, you can come back and question me, and then you don't let me settle on my own hypotheses or thoughts, and then I have to have a right answer for you, and that's how we build something to discover.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Cornel. Thank you so much for that. For this whole interview, this has been great. Thanks for giving us a taste of what it means to be you and your thoughts on future of geosciences and how other people can be as successful as you are. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. So I will see you back on campus here
Yeah, hopefully I can take a class from you. That'd be nice.
at the end of the summer. Oh, I have only informal classes if you like. I mean, otherwise it's for petroleum engineers.
Okay, that's fair.
Good.
Alrighty.
Thank you.